Hi, this is your guitar consultant with part 2 of our very basic strumming program. To use this video, you should have watched part 1, which focuses on the downstroke. What you need to participate in this video is the contents of that video, plus maybe an E minor chord, which gets someplace else. Okay, we should make a good sounding E minor chord, or maybe a G or something like that. Anything that uses all 6 strings. So let's get going. What we should have gotten from our last video is the simple action of doing a downstroke. Composite elbow wrist action, nice, light, quick, blended. We talked about how to hold the pick, and we focused on, towards the end, doing this until basically it does itself. Nice, light, quick, blended, very little effort overall. Okay, so now we're going to focus on the upstroke. So little interesting fact, you were doing upstrokes the entire time without knowing it. Every downstroke was followed by an upstroke, or you couldn't have done a second downstroke. So we're going to put our upstrokes where that movement was. Now the upstroke is really different from the downstroke in a couple of ways. Yes, you might say under your breath, it's up rather than down, you dingus. And I'd say, yeah, but it's more than that. Okay, and don't call me a dingus. Okay, and that is the downstroke we're focusing on is pretty much right now a full court strum. Okay, we're going to actually change that in the future, but right now it's a full court strum. Gravity takes us, and it's very broad sounding. The upstrum has a different character. The upstrum is going to hit the top, or by that I mean the skinny strings. I'm going to refer to these as the low strings and these as the high strings, or bottom strings, top strings. And we're only going to hit about 2 to 4 strings, okay? And those strings are going to have a little bit of a, like I like to say, a snap or a pop to it. I like to say, pop the ups. So what I mean by that is your upstrokes should go like this. Okay? Now that right there only hit about 3 strings, the E, B, and possibly the G. If I hit the D, that was okay too. So downstroke, pop the upstroke. Okay, so how do we get this right? Number one, when you do the upstroke, hold the pick a little tiny bit tighter. Remember, we're holding it loose, but we tighten up just a little by this. Notice on the upstroke, we are leading with the pick, okay? The pick comes first. What we don't want is a fishtailing action where our wrist comes first. So we don't want this kind of thing. We want this, okay? I call it the scoop. We're scooping up, well, here in Texas it would be queso. In New England it would be clam chowder. I don't know what people scoop. Put it in the comments. Okay, so down, scooping, and then we pop. Now, how do we not hit all of the strings? The way we not hit all of the strings is we're actually moving in 3 dimensions. Okay. So if you watch from here, we can see that the pick goes out into the room. See, it kind of takes off. Like, think of an airplane taking off, and the airplane's taking off in time to not hit the tower, and the tower being the A string. Okay. Should you be careful about whether you're hitting 2, 3, or 4? Don't be terribly careful now. Try not to hit the A or the D. Okay. When you do this, if you find yourself having a hard time reproducing this, and occasionally somebody does, what you're going to do is put your pick underneath the E string. Put your pick on the underside of the E string and just hold it there. And then move out, up, and out. Sometimes people even get just 1 string when this happens, but that's still the right track. We don't want this. Okay? So the big no-no is your upstroke being like this. Why not, Steve? Why not? Why isn't our, upstroke just the downstroke backwards? And, well, I'll show you why. Here's what happens if you just hit everything on the way up. It's heavy, it's flat sounding, okay? I call it the windshield wiper, okay? And here it is with the proper strum. So here it is flat strum, the wrong way. And here it is the right way. Lighter, more animated, and it's just what people do. The only exception I can think of is Jeff Lynne, who famously worked with ELO. He was ELO and worked with Tom Petty, who was strum like. But if you want to get lessons from him, you can. He's actually pretty cool, it seems like. Okay, so now how do we integrate this with the downstroke? Well, at first, you're just going to go back and forth. Don't even worry about timing. 1. I'll use an E minor. 1, down, up. Don't worry about timing. Whenever you're ready, make your next move. It's going to take your brain a little bit of time to sort of turn around from the downstroke to the upstroke, and give it that time. Once you know what you're doing, timing is not going to be an issue. Now, as you get better, you're going to start squaring that off. And what you're going to do is you're going to start counting. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you're getting the idea of it and you feel like you're getting there, if you make a mistake, you miss the strings, or you have a weird clunky strum, just ignore it and keep going, okay? The idea is we don't want to get hyper-focused on right and wrong. We're trying to get the generalized thing. This is way, way closer to riding a bicycle than it is, the sort of exacting, process of learning how to play chords well. Okay, so we kind of let some stuff roll. Okay, so after a while, you evolve to the point where you can do 1 and 2 and. That's really, really important that the 1 and the and are exactly the same length. So think kind of like almost like a military march. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that brings us to our sort of an activity we can try. And that is a mixing the downs and the down ups. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to place a series of downs, right? Think of this activity as sort of like a capstone to everything we've learned so far. And you go strum, strum, strum. You can either do this open-ended with no counting, or you could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Seriously, whichever way suits you better. Some people like one, some people like the other. And what you're going to do is here and there, whenever it seems right for you, you're going to do an upstrum. If you count out loud, and it works better for more people if you count, you go 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now there I did the upstrum on 3, but I could have done it on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Or on 2 and 3. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. It's all the same stuff. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to get to the point where we can kind of play a combination of any amount of down strums and down ups without breaking down, without slowing down. This is the big thing you're trying not to do. This is very, very common in the beginning. Okay, so watch for this. You can see that, the rhythm of the downs is okay, but the down-up rhythm isn't locked into time. So remember, you'll notice something, though. When I do my down-up looks basically exactly the same as my down. And that brings us to what this kind of strumming is called. This kind of strumming has a name, believe it or not, and I've seen very few people use it. Well, if very few people use it, is it really the name? I say it is, and you're watching my video. So we're going to call it pendulum strumming, okay? Your hand moves back and forth like a pendulum, and I think it works pretty well. So the idea is that your hand is always moving like a pendulum. And if your down-up breaks the motion of the pendulum, usually because it's too labored, or you're trying too hard, that's not where you want to be, okay? So if that's the case, practice your down up a whole bunch of times, slow your practice back down. You can put you can go like 1 and 2 and 3. You can do an and count on your upward misses when you just do your downstrokes. Whatever gets you there. Remember, learning is a creative action, okay? We don't want to be creative with our results, but the way we get there can differ from person to person. Okay, so to recoup all the different points we made. The downstroke we learned in the last video. The upstroke is a upward stroke that hits about 2 to 4 strings. We lead with our pick. We hold our pick a little bit tighter and we kind of accent or pop the top 2 to 4 strings or so. Then we lift away so we don't hit the other strings on the bottom. Okay. It feels pretty different in the beginning, but it integrates pretty fast for most people. In the beginning, when you start, do your downstroke the way you were told, and then the upstroke the way you were told, and give yourself as much time as you need to do each one. Then start squaring it off. Make sure they are perfectly even. 1 and 2 and. Then you can start mixing them for something like this. Ideally, you hit the point where you can do something like this. As you can see, it's very foundational to strumming the guitar. Unfortunately, it's very, very boring too. But hey, this is the stage we go through to get to the fun stuff. So the thing is, if you can play the guitar like... Oop. You're right on the edge of playing the cool stuff, and the cool stuff won't be very difficult for you. You actually already did the hard part. Okay, so there's going to be more chapters to this. So if anybody has any questions, they can be addressed in the next video. I hope this works out for you. Like I said, once you get past this, strumming gets a lot better. Okay, so thank you for hanging in with me. Best of luck to you, and I hope this helped. Okay, bye-bye.